It is preparing to stream this meeting live. Stream this meeting live. Okay, so let me go back to Zoom. Okay, so here we go. Hi, my name is Elena Taylor Bagger. I am the founder of The Innovative Mom, and tonight we have here with us Ina Cook. She is an attorney. She's an adoption attorney, but she has a wealth of information about adoptions as well as foster care. And we're going to talk about some tips as well in regards to parenting during COVID. So here we go.
Hi, Elena.
Hi. Okay, so you can introduce yourself, Ina, and just tell us a little bit about what you do and how it's changed since all of this. I know you used to go in the courthouse, you used to taking documents, and now everything gets a little bit different. You're actually having to do everything online.
Pretty much. So I am a adoption attorney, and I also do immigration work for children who are in some type of either adoption placement or some type of alternative parenting placement. So I focus on those, and it has changed a lot. I've been in the business probably for about 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I've seen a lot of changes. This is just one on top of all the other ones.
Right.
We are doing things a lot more through video conferencing, paperwork through email, but we are still moving forward because children still need to be taken care of no matter what else is going on out there.
Okay. So the adoption process, how is it working now since you can't, has it slowed down, or are you all able to proceed with your adoption cases like normal, even though it's online?
We are, I mean, if we have cases that were already in the queue and they're before they've been matched with a prospective adoptive parent, and then, you know, the mom is giving birth, we are going forward with those because we have no choice. And we are figuring out. It can be a little scary, especially if we have a young mother and she's giving birth during this time because she has to give birth alone. So we have had that situation come up in April, where, you know, we can give her all the encouragement we can, but she did have to go into the hospital alone.
Wow.
As far as new cases, probably they're slowing up a little bit, or they were probably last month. I think now as we all start adjusting to life with COVID right now, then people are seeing that they're going to have to continue on. And if that was something that they have been wanting to do, that this is still a time that they can move forward with that process.
Okay, good, good, good. So for parents who were thinking about adopting, because babies are still being born, like we talked about yesterday, babies are still being born. There are still people who are deciding to put their children up for adoption. So what, for people who are wanting to adopt, what should they start their process now?
I would say so. This is actually a good time because everybody's cleaning out all their file cabinets, you're getting all your important paperwork together. You might as well start putting things aside that you will need for the adoption process, because it can take a little while. The one thing we're probably not doing as much as is home studies, but we are trying to get creative on ways that we can still at least move forward with the home study process.
Okay. Okay, so what are some of the things that they have to get together? Do they need to find an attorney or just go through an agency? What's that process like for them?
I always tell people to start to see what type of adoption do they visualize,
Mm,
and what are their needs during this time.
okay.
If they feel they need somebody who is going to be right there for them all the time, 100% giving them guidance, then they probably should work with an agency where they have
Okay.
social workers for everybody involved. If they feel like this is more of an independent venture, that they want um, to be more in control of their adoption process, then they should probably look for an attorney.
Okay.
If they want to monitor, okay, what information is being put out there. Some people they want to know exactly every single thing that's going on, and they want to be the ones making all those types of decisions. They probably should work more with an attorney, because an agency has their own standards and policies that they have to follow, where an attorney represents that individual and will work with their best interest at the forefront.
Okay.
If they want to work through the state, then this is a great time to call their local Department of Family and Children's Services and then see if they are offering classes virtually, or can they start the application process.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. That's I hope that I hope this information gets to whoever needs it, because like you said, babies are being born, and there's still people putting not just babies but their children up for adoption, and there are still children in the foster care system, which
Yes.
brings me to this. I think I'm gonna kind of toggle between the parenting and the foster care,
Okay.
because there are children in foster care, and there are also children at home who
Yes.
may have parents who are at their limits. I mean,
Hmm.
this was a big change, a sudden change for everybody. I
Right.
mean, we're stressed enough as it is, just on a normal day-to-day basis without COVID.
Hmm.
But being, I don't want to say trapped in your house with 3, 4, 5 kids, but I mean, honestly, to
Hmm.
go from your kids going to school, you going to work, or even being a stay-at-home mom and the kids go to school. And I know homeschool moms and dads do it all the time, but this is different because nobody can leave the house.
Right.
So the stress level is amped. Not only can they not leave the house, some have lost their job, their finances are changing, and you realize, hey, you may not like your partner, you may not like your kids, you may not even like yourself at the end of the day. But explain to me a little bit about how the foster care system works.
Well, the foster care system is ran by counties, and usually they have state policies, and that's usually what governs it. So it's governed more by state, county by county type situation. Um, I would say that COVID is affecting foster parents. They are probably being challenged more than they thought they would be, especially if they have children with behaviors that can be very challenging. They are now, instead of getting lots of different assistance in different ways, or even being
Okay.
able to have um, times where they can have the children go and stay with other people, they are it 100% of the time, balancing medicine, balancing treatment, balancing behaviors that can be in all sorts of different ways. Um, Not having the schools as even a way to get extra help for the children, that because schools offer a lot of different programs for children with behavioral problems. So um, I worry about them, I pray about them, but they are stepping up to the challenge in ways that are amazing.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So, so are kids still being put into foster system during this time? That doesn't slow, it doesn't stop, does it?
No, I would probably say, unfortunately, because of the stress of all this going on, that children are being put in. We still are having emergency hearings, and if a child needs to be removed, they will remove that child from whatever situation they are in, if the probable cause hearing shows that that needs to happen.
Right.
Um, Domestic violence has increased since COVID. for, many different reasons, as you can imagine.
Right.
So we are just trying to stay on top of it at this point.
Wow. Wow. Are you all offering, is the system offering any type, well, I know respite care is out of the question. Are there any ways that, or any tips that we can give to parents, and foster parents as well as parents who aren't foster parents, who might be at their limit? Like you said yesterday, it's not necessarily for defects to come in, but just to know that you're at your peak, and some of the things that you can do to kind of unwind and take that stress off of yourself. I know one of the first things to do is take care of yourself.
Right. And I will start with that. There's things you can do for the children, but also it's always starting with the parents and making sure that they are taking care of themselves.
Okay.
I would say if they are in a stressful situation with finances, to look into the different programs that are out there for contract workers,
Okay.
protection, the payment protection plan that's coming out there, different things that can help alleviate some of that stress, even if it's some of the mortgage delay programs, or if you're renting, seeing if you can talk to your landlord, something to help alleviate some of that financial stress, because
Right.
that can be very overwhelming. And then secondly, I would say make sure you have a strong support group. So making sure you're reaching out to your friends, even if it's on Zoom and you're just, seeing them once a week, or whatever your support foundation that you have. Don't let them up during this time. Make sure that you are actively seeking them. And then when you do, be honest about what's going on. So often, the best parenting tips that I got when I had younger children was just talking to my friends who may have children a little bit older or even at the same age, sometimes younger, who would just give me tips if I gave them the specifics of what was going on. When we talk in general terms of, oh, girl, these kids are driving me crazy, it's hard to really get the help that you need, instead of, this is what he does every time we sit down and try and do a math problem. How can I
Right.
deal with this? So I would say search for that, and then look for online classes, even parenting classes. Because I was looking in my email box this morning, and there was a virtual parenting class that was free that you could sign up for through your
Oh,
email.
wow.
And if you don't have it, then try to make one. you know, Call the innovative mom and see what she.
Yes.
And then I would also say to utilize, if you're using a counselor, to keep it up during this time, to do the virtual counseling sessions for you or your children, to make sure that those needs that need to be met through counseling are getting met.
Definitely. I know when my kids were little, I have 5 kids, and when they were little, just working and life,
Mm-hmm.
I would get stressed.
Right.
I mean, every night, I love, love, love my babies.
Of course.
But when you have five and 5 different personalities and 5 different levels in school and 5 different, just I tried to be as organized as I could be, but there were days where I was just like, huh, okay, go sit on the porch. I had to go back to the 70s. Just go sit on the porch for a minute. I'm gonna lock the door. You can't come in. I just need for you to stay out there for a minute.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the stress may not. I wanted to add something too. There are local agencies that are streamlining their processes as far as assistance for rental assistance, utilities, and things like that. So please, if you need it, by all means, reach out to your local agencies. Some of your major agencies, like United Way, has a list of help in your area by zip code.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So re, go on to United Way, look at their information, and but I just wanted to bring it forward if
Mhm.
people needed help to be
Right.
able to access it. And I like what you said about the counseling session. If you've been going to counseling and it's been working and it's helping, then by all means continue to go. If
Mhm.
they offer it online, which I'm sure everyone's doing now,
Mhm.
continue to go. And if your kids are in therapy, I didn't realize my kids needed therapy until they were adults. I didn't realize I needed therapy until my kids were in therapy.
Mhm.
But it really does help. There's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in saying, these kids are getting on my nerve. I don't know. There's no shame in it at all. And like you said, don't hide. Be open. Be honest. And there's no judgment. Go to someone who there's no judgment, because you do have friends who
Mhm.
may who may down talk you and
Okay.
well, my kids are great and nothing's wrong with my
Right.
kids.
Not the
Yeah,
time to go to
yeah,
the book perfect person.
yeah. Don't go to the Stepfords,
Right.
to the Stepford wives. Go to your actual true friends and, you know, be honest and talk with them.
Mhm.
And
Right.
like
And
you said,
you
reach
probably
out to groups
see
too.
when the Stepfords are having challenging times. So they're just covering it up with old vacation pictures posted.
Right? Posting them on Instagram. Oh, everything's great. Everything's great. And one kid like Homer Simpson.
Right. Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I know this was short and sweet, but I would love, love, love to have you back on and we can talk a little bit more. Um, if you come up with any resources, the parenting resources, or please shoot me an email and I'll definitely put them up. Um, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, thank you for having me on. And I would say if you know of someone who is a foster parent or who um is, they're at home with their children, just give them a call.
Check up
Send
on
some
them.
love, just reach out to them because it is a challenging time. And it's funny, as we social distance, we find out we need each other more. So this is the
So
time.
true. So true. That's so true. I wanted to add a little bit for moms because this is the innovative mom. I do, in taking care of yourself, stepping away, especially if you have a spouse, um, maybe you need to do every other weekend,
Mm.
like the divorced people do. While you're in the house, say, okay, this is my haven for the next 8 hours. And, you can get your haven on Sunday. Saturday is my haven. And just
Mhm.
step away because you are now, some are working, homeschooling, all at the same time, working 40 hours in homeschooling
Right.
with with or without a spouse in the house. If you're a single mom, me being a single mom with 5 kids, the end of my nights were mine. I was like, I am pushing everything I can to get everybody in the bed, house clean, done by 7:30, 8 o'clock. I know that's early, but I don't care if I have to wake you up at 6 o'clock so you can be good and tired by 8. It is the evenings were mine. And it's so funny. It's carried on into their adulthood. If I get off work and I'm tired, first thing I see is a cup of tea and a candle
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the night, that was my time.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's hard to do when you have a baby and everything, but if you can just grab moments, even throughout the day, if you can grab that moment, sit somewhere, go quietly, um, and just take some time to yourself, take a deep breather, do some meditation if you need to, or watch some mind numbing TV to where you don't have to think at all. Do that, and just really, really focus on trying to get yourself um, de stressed so it doesn't carry over to your kids or
Right.
to a spouse.
All right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because,
Even the dog.
yeah, no, I don't want to hear another bark.
I know. I've been there.
Nothing out of you. So yes, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Stay safe, stay healthy. Ina, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. I love you.
You have been one of those friends for me that I could call and say this is exactly what's going on. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And one more thing, and I know I keep adding more, but as I talk, I keep thinking, don't stress this. Don't stress it at all. The homework, don't stress it.
Right.
Don't stress it. It's not, this isn't a live or die situation if they don't finish your homework on a night. I mean, we're all of our lives are disrupted. The teachers, the principals, the schools, the planners, you know, everybody's life is disrupted. So if they didn't get a problem right, just take a deep breath, chill, and say, okay, we'll go at it tomorrow. And it's okay.
Impressed when you said you had the house cleaned by 8. I was thinking,
Okay.
oh.
I was cutting stuff off at 4 o'clock. Okay, you just got home from school, do your homework, clean up, let's go. Take a bath. 8 o'clock, it's my time.
Just spray Lysol and it'll be okay.
Right. Yeah, it's okay. But do like the schools do. They have teacher work days.
Mm-hmm.
They have half days. Gwinnett County is notorious for having half days.
Yes, they
So
are.
if you want a half day of work and a half day of play, let them play. It's okay.
Yep.
I promise you it will be okay. I did homeschool, and I'll share this story. I don't know whether my son will like it or not. I just won't say which. I have two. I pulled my son out of homeschool once, and it was his 10th grade year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sick and recovering. And I would go in there and ask him, was he doing his homework? He was like, yes, ma'am, I'm doing it. Yes, ma'am. 2 months before the end of school, I found out that he had failed his whole 10th grade year.
Oh.
And I was like, I can go crazy, like I probably would have done years ago. Or I told him, I said, okay, you're going back to school next year. So do you want to be in the 10th grade or do you want to be in the 11th grade? You're going to go back. So we'll say I was a little bit upset, but not enough to just go off. I was like, okay, that was your gap year. Because believe it or not, kids need downtime too. They need me time.
They do. Mm-hmm.
Because they're human before they are kids. A lot of us look at kids by their label that they are children, but they're humans. They have real emotions, real feelings, and they're people. They're little people.
Right.
So I figured that must have been his year that he didn't, he needed a year.
Right.
And they may not know how to ask for their own downtime. So
or he didn't know he was choosing that was as his year, but
exactly. He didn't know he was choosing his gap year.
Right.
So, his misplaced gap year. But it wasn't that he couldn't do the work, because once he realized that he had failed, he paid for summer school classes, went up to his school, talked with his counselor, and he was on track, dual enrolled by August.
Wow.
So sometimes you just need that brain break. I'm not saying let your kids fail. I didn't know he was failing. I probably would have done something different if I knew. But also just kind of take a deep breath and let it flow.
Right. Understanding that not every situation is going to make or break your child. And sometimes those times when they fail and they learn to pick themselves back up are the times where they grow the most. Exactly. And then they learn, it becomes intrinsic in them instead of us pushing them to do it. I mean, I have older children now, but I find that the times, and whether it was done because I was choosing to say, well, I'm going to let you learn a lesson on your own, or I was, in the middle of craziness like this and just didn't, deal with it in a way that I would have normally. It's the times where their character developed and they became more of who they're going to be. Right. and it became more self-motivation instead of me pushing it all the time.
Right, exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. So
Exactly.
I totally understand.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, you can find Ina on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle, Ina?
I believe it's Adopt with Ina, and
It
then
is.
book is the law firm of Ina Johnson Cook.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions about adoption, foster care, and you're doing a parenting series as well on Instagram.
What I do is when I work with families at the end of the adoption, when we finalize, I keep myself available to them. And we
Okay.
keep resources going and the conversation going so that it's not like, okay, here's a baby, bye. It's more of, okay, now we need to raise the child. I personally do not do parenting classes, but I work with a counselor who will offer parenting and help to people.
Okay, so guys, follow her because you have a second part of a series as well that's coming up
Yeah,
on Adopt with
yeah.
Ina.
With just ideas of ways to get through this time when you're in the house.
Awesome, awesome. And also, we have a mutual friend, Lisa Washington. If you guys, I love what she's doing with her grandkids during this time. She is amazingly creative. So you guys can follow her on Facebook for some ideas as well if you have small kids.
Yes.
She's very creative, and I just think it's awesome to see her in action.
Mm-hmm. It is. I can't go back in time and do it, but it's
I
nice.
can't either. I can't either. And also, I'll be posting videos on YouTube as well with parenting tips because I don't know, I love the little ones.
Mhm.
I love being creative with them, and I love giving moms tips on how to capitalize on your own time while you're raising your kids. So subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Thank you, Ina.
Thank you for having me. Take care. Be safe.
You too.
Okay,
Bye
bye.
bye.